Hi everyone! In this video, we will find the domain for a given equation. Find the domain for the following function. F of x equals 1 divided by x minus 4 times x plus 5. The first thing we can see is that we have a division sign with two numbers on the bottom, or two factors of x minus 4 and x plus 5. There are some regulations with division. This long division sign, or the fraction bar, has some stipulations. We cannot divide by 0. It's not allowed. So cannot divide by 0. So whatever will make the denominator of this function or this fraction 0 must be off limits. So the best way to find that is to find where it does equal 0. So we will take the denominator, x minus 4 times x plus 5, and set it equal to 0 to find where the restriction will occur. Because I have two factors and it equals 0, I can use the zero product property by dividing this into two equations, the first factor equaling 0 and the second factor equaling 0, to find where these two factors will equal 0 with the variable in the factor will equal 0. So on the left, we'll add 4 to both sides, which isolates our variable to give us x equals 4. And on the right side, we'll subtract 5 from both sides so that we find that x equals negative 5. These 2 points at x equaling 4 and x equaling negative 5 are restrictions for the denominator, which are restrictions for the input variable or the domain, which are the x values or the input values. This is where we need to write the restrictions for the domain. Every other number in the number line will be acceptable to be in the denominator, all of them except for 4 and negative 5. So going from left to right, as far left as possible, which is domain, is the left and right, or the input or the x values, we can have as many negative numbers as far left as possible. And to go as far left as we can, this is negative infinity. Going to the right now, as we continue this direction, we end up with a restriction at negative 5. So we will say from negative infinity to negative 5 without including it, so we will use a parenthesis. But as soon as we leave negative 5, we can use those numbers again. So we will union this with another interval, again at negative 5, but we're not including it, so we use a parenthesis. This tells us that once I get to negative 5, I must end, and when I pick up again at negative 5, I can't include that. So that's where those parentheses come in. Now from negative 5, as I continue along in the right direction, I will have another interruption where x equals positive 4. So we will have that restriction of negative 4 with a parenthesis because we're not including it. And then we will union yet another interval, again picking up at positive 4. But even though we are starting at 4, it's still not including it, so we use a parenthesis. And then we continue going to the right, and there's no more restrictions. So I can go to the right as high as possible with those numbers, which means that I end with positive infinity. And again, because we cannot include infinity, we use a parenthesis. So the domain for this function goes from negative infinity to negative 5, union negative 5 to 4, union 4 to positive infinity. And that's our domain. And now we're all done.